Hello, how are you? So I don't think you could see me. I forgot to turn the light on, and honestly don't feel like getting up to turn the light on. So yeah, so I made a phone call like I said I would. I listened to that idea video yesterday, and I was kind of surprised. I was expecting it to be horrible because most of the ideas that I have while I'm drunk are horrible. By the way, if you have a business idea, an idea on how to spend money, or an idea on how to talk to a girl, as much as you may want to do it while drunk, I'll just give you this one piece of advice. You may want to wait until you sober up. But I listened to it, and it honestly made sense. So I spoke with a farmer in that area just to kind of get a lay of the land and how they feel things are going, who, kind of understands a lot of what's going on at Farm Bureau. And I then just decided to call up that dude and say, the lobbyist you spoke to was hired by me. I'd like to have a basic conversation. And I went over what I spelled out in the video yesterday pretty much. And, it was different than I thought. And it's one of those things where I can't really tell if I'm being played or not, which makes it highly difficult. So they said, listen, he didn't really budge much from what he had said on the whole. People, they don't want to fix their own stuff the same way that I think they do. They want somebody else to fix it. They don't usually have the equipment or the ability to do it themselves, which I am 99.9% certain is BS and something I get a pitchfork shoved up my ass for saying. But anyway, so I had a conversation, and the conversation was interesting. They had said, well, we have access to a lot of stuff that you don't. The stuff that we have access to, oh, every time I get a notification, it lights up my screen. That's cool. We want to make sure we get access to that very end of it, like kind of like the ability to pair things. And I'm not really sure if that bill would allow it. We'd rather have our own bill so it has a greater chance of being pushed through. And also just to be able to write in our specific use case to be 110% certain that there's no way anybody could get around it. And maybe that's true. Maybe that's true. Maybe that's not. I'm honestly 50-50. The reason I'm 50-50, two reasons. The first is that for the past 3 years, you've had all these kind of half-ass compromises and let's do it this way and let's have a memorandum of understanding. Let's work with the manufacturer. Let's try this way. It may take longer. It may take a year. And the strategy is, my gut feeling tells me that the strategy is, let's put it off a year. Let's put it off later, later, later. It's like a guy that instead of being upfront on the first date and saying what his intentions are with regards to marriage kind of makes a woman think, I'll marry you, just give me a year. I'll marry you, just give me a year. I'll marry you, just give me a year. And then she turns 44 years old, like, is too old to have children. And the guy is like, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not ready for marriage. I'm leaving you, kind of thing. Like, that's the kind of vibe that I'm getting from this entire thing. I've always been open to being upfront in the first date. Hey, I think marriage is a great institution. It's got a lot of uses. Here's my family history for 3 generations. Here is my childhood. I'm 99% certain that I'm not marrying you, and that's never going to change. That's my first date material. I figure, let me get out all the nasty shit on the first date so you can decide if you wish to waste your time moving forward with someone who's as screwed up as I am. And some women will say, that's not for me. Some will say, well, here's my plate of stuff. And what do you think of that? And we'll go back and forth. And, I like this idea of getting everything out on the table in the very beginning. I wish more people would, pursue relationships in this type of way. But anyway, that's neither here nor there with regards to this. And it's one of those things where essentially you've told me just enough to not really know if this is plausible or real, or if this is just, again, just a complete and utter stall tactic. So I thought I would, just kind of announce it in a video, and not, again, I don't want to throw somebody into the bus because for all I know, this is actually well-meaning, um, but just kind of put it out there that this is happening. I think that people should be more engaged, and I think that they should be more willing and open to speak with people that represent them and say, hey, what's your stance on this? What are we doing here? So, like, at least they know. Because I think a lot of people out there may just assume, I pay money to this organization, I'm a member of this organization, therefore they're doing X thing for me. When in reality, they may be doing something else. At the end of the day, I really don't think the message that in the video that I released on the main channel today was a bad message in any way, shape, or form, nor do I believe that I have to carry the guilt or burden of what's the word I'm looking for, or the guilt of burden of not sharing that information. Now, there are quite a few more talks that are going on behind closed doors in different states, and I really like to see where those go before I dig further. And I'm kind of excited to see where some of these things go. I'm particularly excited with with the way Senator, I believe, Tom Brandt is handling things in Nebraska. That's a dude that really cares about his constituents. I mean, he has he was a farmer, and the local politician that he was running against laughed at everybody at on the hearing day of the Right to Repair bill in March of 2017. So he decides, all right, you want to laugh? Cool, I'll run against you, and I'll win in your district, and I'll introduce the exact same bill that you laughed at everybody for. And he won. That dude won. That's balls right there. Because again, a lot of people can say, I don't like this person, screw that politician, blah. No, he ran, he beat her, and he introduced the very bill that she laughed at. That's a boss. Like, I tip my hat to that dude. I don't know if I agree with him on everything politically. I don't know if I agree with him on anything politically, or maybe I agree on everything with him politically. I don't know. I haven't listened to his positions in a number of different topics. I don't really know about the rest of his career. But that alone, I have a level of respect for him for what he did. He put his money where his mouth was, and he decided to actually be a part of the change he wants to see in the world. And I hope to see that happen. I spoke to a lot of different people today, and I voiced my support. If certain, certain groups are not particularly open to extending the helping hand that they may have promised, or I wanted to let them know that the how I put this, trying to figure out a way to put this without revealing everything. Um, hmm that if certain work needs to be done that costs money for them to continue moving on their path forward, that I am more than open to helping them. Again, at the end of the day, as I've said a million times, agricultural right to repair, medical right to repair, consumer electronics right to repair, it's all the same shit. At the end of the day, the arguments that they make is that, if you're able to fix your own phone, dangers, 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 dangers. And if I can demonstrate that a dude is fixing a $500,000 combine harvester that weighs like 6,000 or 10,000 pounds with a giant engine in it in the middle of nowhere in a field, and nobody's dying left and right, then it's really difficult at that point to make the argument that, I don't know, somebody's going to slit their wrist on cell phone glass or something by accident. So, if they win, I win. Even if it doesn't affect my industry, even if it has no effect on my business in the short term, they win, society wins, and at the end of the day, it helps us win too. So I'm open to supporting them in a couple of ways, and I laid out a couple of options to some people today, and I want to see where this goes. This John Deere lawsuit is very interesting, and it really does lay the groundwork for a lot of the projects that I was discussing back in November regarding antitrust. It opens the door to doing something similar to what we did with a white paper that we put together on some of the antitrust issues in consumer electronics. I'd really like to be able to do more than just say on YouTube, this is screwed up, that's why, because I don't know, it's my opinion and I have a big chair with a cat. I really like to be able to say in legalese with, somebody who has 40 or 35 years of antitrust experience, X company did Y in Z way. It broke statute A, B, and C. When you break statute A, B, and C, the law dictates that D happen. And over these 20 times throughout history, when you broke statute A, B, and C in a way that harmed people, D is what happened. Who has some sort of connections, who genuinely understands the system, who also understands our legal system. I think it's really important that it not just be me. It shouldn't just be me yelling into my camera, here's what I think is screwed up, here's why. Because at the end of the day, that gets some people's attention, but there's that whole what do you do about it afterwards. It only really goes so far. So I'm kind of happy and excited to finally be in a position where I can actually do something about some of those things in a more professional context. And what I'm excited about more than anything else is that at the end of the day, some of the things that I'm doing, nobody is ever going to know that my name was attached to it. No one, many of the people involved in this may not even know that I exist. And honestly, that's awesome. Like the fact that there could just be kind of like the fact that there's like a little snowball down there that's going to turn into this absolute giant avalanche. Knowing that it just kind of started with like a little flick of my finger, even if nobody down there has any idea it was me, that honestly kind of makes it all the more fun. And I'm excited to see how things go going forward. You can't see this, but Oreo is actually sitting right over my elbow, and he's so cute. So he wants me to get to bed. So I'm gonna end this right now. I don't know if you could see Oreo. Maybe you guys with some sort of enhancing shit can see Oreo. But Oreo's over here. I'll see you all later. Next time.